All right, so today in this podcast this is the very first podcast I'm doing.
Got
We're
you.
talking about COVID-19. Shut up, Cole.
We didn't enter audio.
We're talking about. You guys didn't add your audio.
No.
Double check. I'm in. My audio is in.
Restart.
Bro. Okay, fine.
Restart quickly.
Restart. Introductions. My name is Ben. Godflict.
Cole.
Rugby.
Nick.
All right, and
Yes.
John. Fuck, truly aware.
Yes. Yes.
What's your actual name?
Yes. John.
All right, it's kicked. That's what's his name. Okay. All right. So in this podcast, we are talking about COVID-19, and COVID-19 appeared in around like the end of December in Wuhan, China. You guys know where Wuhan, China is?
Is it in
In
China?
China, right?
China.
So yeah, it's a very large district for mostly like it's a large shopping center in the middle of China. It's like a very cash money type of area,
Very cash money or
and
like a little
just
bit cash money?
so COVID-19 appeared, like I said, and it kept growing throughout China until it reached a lot of other countries, like for example the U.S., the UK, Japan, all those other countries are all
Italy.
affected. Italy's getting absolutely bombed right now. That sucks. As well as just recently, now we're all in quarantine, which is fun, right, Cole?
Yeah.
Right, Nick?
Yeah.
Right person who should be here right now, John?
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, how is the COVID-19 affecting your life? Let's start with Cole. 'Cause
Well, if you go to
Ow.
any shopping
can
place,
you look at me?
there's like a lot of food missing, like pasta. Shush. Bread, toilet paper. There's a lot of things missing.
Nick?
For me, it's basically the same thing that Cole said, but except mine's a little bit different because I'm visiting the UK from the US. So me going home is still up in the air of like if I can even go home at the time I'm supposed to. Um, Seeing all the weird social interactions that we've never seen before, like people literally fighting over bread, toilet paper, stuff like that, is like really hard to see, and it kind of adds a different factor to the whole thing. It is really scary because none of us have never dealt with something like this, and it's like we're basically living in history, and like this is going to be like, groundbreaking for history. So it's like that's also like really weird to take in as well. But overall, it is really rough and like weird to take in. But I think overall, I think the world's doing okay considering. But it's, I mean, not to take away from anything, but it is really hard to like live through and deal with.
Yeah, you know what's really weird? So like most of the tickets for like when you live in the US, most of the tickets are like $6, like travel tickets. They're like $6
Yeah,
because
it's
we've
crazy.
we've been talking a lot about it in school. We had a whole project on it in my biomedical interventions class, and we literally just made graphs about like deaths and stuff, deaths to cases to all that stuff. But I don't know which class it was. I think it was. I remember we were talking about a gym class where it's like travel tickets are like $6 to like Miami. Like
So
it's
that's just like
insane. But, like,
insane. Yeah, it is.
yeah, but like at what prices though?
Oh yeah,
I
it's
guess.
obviously like a really big risk to potentially catch it because that's how a lot of the coronavirus is going around is by travel. So it's like the trains, flights, stuff like that. So like yeah, you get a $6 ticket, but you're also risking getting coronavirus and bringing it back to your family and ultimately affecting your whole family and then them affecting someone else. So it's not really good for them to do it. I mean, obviously people are going to do it regardless, but
All right, well, so Nick, we're gonna go back to your UK issue as that's actually one of the sections, and you're like, I'm gonna just jump ahead, but I do appreciate that. Person who's not here, John. How are you? How's the COVID-19 virus affecting you?
Well, I mean, I don't really explore the world too often, so it's not really changing me that much. I mean, now when you go outside, you see people in face masks or people preaching the "stay out of my bubble," personal space, like all of that. Not as bad as you'd think it would be, seeing how in other places it's horrible. Toilet paper is still in stock, which is wonderful. And it's
It is. It's
not that bad. Not that bad actually.
Where do you live?
So wait, actually, wait. You're in ninth grade, right? Are you you don't ninth graders don't take MCAS, right?
No.
How? So we're going to education. I don't know, Rugby, if you have anything to bring with this. If you have anything, just say something. So me and John go to the same school, and I'm gonna let John. I'm gonna explain my side, my e-schooling is. It's really weird because because most of us like students, I believe we really do connect with the teachers a lot. Like especially last year, we really connected with the teachers. This year, I feel like it was even more stronger because those teachers are unfamiliar to us, and like it feels weird because most of us probably like learning like up front. We most of us do learn. Most of us sure have not problems, but like they disrupt the class, but they still want to get stuff done. They still make that effort. And how most students learn is, in the classroom. So when you switch to an e-classroom scenario, it's like unfamiliar territory for us, as well as the idea that maybe a good chunk of students don't have internet access, so it makes that process even worse for them. And anyone want to pitch in? Cole, John?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Actually, no,
uh,
John.
all right. So for me, like having the online classes, it's more or less, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. But the fact that I have complete freedom of when I do it makes it so much harder for me to want to do it. But at any time, I could just close the tab, and I find that like extremely difficult for me. I'd rather be back in the classroom setting. It's hard because, oh, what's that? You have to do it on the computer? Well, I could just close the computer. No one's gonna stop me. I'm not gonna go to detention. You're gonna send me to the private like online class? Nothing's gonna happen.
The dark web.
A Cole.
Back to you, Ben.
So,
I think
where I live, my internet company
what
gave
state do you
everyone-
live in? If you want to give that up, because that gives a better scenario. Because like New York at the moment is like the central, I don't know what it's called, epicenter of the virus at the moment.
my internet company gave everyone in my area 2 months of free internet, and
You flexing.
no, because like my internet's slow now. It's true.
Everyone's playing Fortnite.
So,
alright, go ahead. Continue.
yeah, I went from 60 megabytes per second to 3 megabytes per second in under like a day, because everyone has this internet now.
So how's your school?
Because social distancing, and see, I don't have that many classes because I take a coding class, and basically
Loser.
I get an assignment every week from my coding teacher. So like, I have to do that. I did terrible last week. Yeah,
We know.
I don't have like internet.
Okay,
school.
anything you want to add? I know.
Um,
I don't know if what.
Well, I mean, I do have siblings.
I don't
so, like,
know.
I kind of like they pretty much tell me like what's going on with them, and like, I mean, yeah, it's basically the same thing. Like online classes, I just can't like imagine like theoretically. 'Cause obviously, I'm graduated and I haven't been in that, but theoretically, I can imagine that for being like productive enough. Because like what I said before, that like you literally just close the tab. There's so many distractions at home. Like literally, I would just be itching to play my Xbox like all through class the whole time. Like it's not productive at all. And the class should be in a classroom setting. So like it's really hurting education. That's one of the underlying things about this whole thing is that I feel like kids still aren't getting good education because it's just like it's not taken seriously because it's like online. You know what I mean? It's like in the comfort of your own home. You have so many other distractions at home you do in school. So I feel like it's hurting education more than people would like to acknowledge.
I'm gonna. No, John. If you're just mute your mic for it because you're like glitching a lot. Not glitching a lot. You're like your
Oh,
mic's
yeah.
loud.
Oh,
Mic's
yeah.
your mic's yeah. So just mute your mic and I'll just tell you when you can talk.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So when I went to go take my SAT, which is student, it's basically like a placement test for college. I don't know how to explain it to you guys. John probably understands it, but I went to go take my SAT Saturday, and of course, no, like they closed it down, and my brother was talking about it, and he was like, "So, like, your nephew Joshua, school is still open, and they're still accepting students, while your cousin Theodore was still closed and taking iReady, which I hate." I was like, "That's ridiculous," and like it makes certain schools and like maybe just companies in general like they get judged for being open and closed. Like for example, GameStop being open during this crisis, and as it's like I am very important, but it's hard to say what should be closed and what should be open. You see how closed schools, everyone's not everyone, but people are struggling with e-school. Or anyone else want to bring anything to that?
I think a lot of businesses, whether it be from businesses to schools or whatever, I feel like the lack of shutting down, whether with them not being essential, so like anything outside like grocery stores, convenience stores, gas stations, stuff like that. Um, I feel like that's just a lack of leadership and the fact that like it's not being taken as seriously as it should. Because I'm sure a lot of people heard it, especially in the early stages of it, that it was just quote unquote just the flu. That is obviously mutated and evolved into much more than that. So it's a lot of like failure on a lot of places as this part to not shut things down, and it puts a lot of people at risk. Because like you said, there's school still going on during this, and obviously, I mean, they could be open because it hasn't affected them yet. But I think it's probably better to just be safe rather than like kids getting infected from it, and or especially like GameStop, like literally there's no reason for it to be open. Um, so I think it's not helping the cause. It's actually making it a lot worse. It is all from lack of leadership and being informed from the leadership, and it doesn't make any of this any better. It's going to just only further the quarantine and the infections going out.
Or anyone else want to say anything? Cole, John, Rugby, Nick. All right, so this is mostly gonna be for Rugby because that's really how I came up with the idea of bringing him here. Um, what's your perspective on the travel bans?
Um, I think they're needed. They're extremely needed. As much as it like affects me and scares me because I don't know when I'm gonna be able to go home. At least not yet. Because my date to go back is actually just outside the travel. So I don't know. Like obviously they can extend it, but I do think overall, from someone who is traveling and is going to be affected by this, I think it's definitely necessary. Um, because obviously people aren't taking it seriously. Like I said before, people are just saying, "Oh, it's just a flu," and then they're going to travel. It's also the fact that it could underlie in your system for up to 2 weeks before you even start feeling it, and that's really scary because then people are just really like spreading it and they have no idea. Um, so it's definitely necessary. And I feel like the whole stigma of it was just a flu, really implemented this. 'Cause I feel like it was taken seriously before, then it wouldn't be this bad. Because I don't know if you guys remember the swine flu and the Ebola outbreaks.
Like
They were taken
Ebola
so
was
much more
like
seriously.
Ebola was like 2011, Swine was like 2008.
Yeah.
Like that. Or no, it was two Ebola. I wasn't.
So
Everyone talks about everyone talks about the SARS outbreak, but I wasn't born yet. And that was in 2002.
yeah, I was super young. I was born in '98, so I don't even remember that. So the only ones I mainly remember is swine flu and Ebola, and those were obviously like big outbreaks, but they're taken way more seriously. And I think the whole like I keep saying it, but yeah, the whole stigma of it was just the flu really like hurt a lot of the world with that, and so that's why all this is put into place because like the quarantine, travel bans, self isolation, stuff like that. Um, I guess yeah, I keep going back to it, but I do think it is definitely necessary for the travel bans to be in place. I understand it's necessary, and the world has to do what it has to do to get this out.
All right. Anyone else? All right. I just came up with this, but how do you think the media portrays the coronavirus? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, do you think the media has to do something with the scarcity of materials and like the scary publicity and all that stuff? Like, do you
Uh,
believe the media gives a negative view on the coronavirus, or does it help spread the news? Or do you both?
I think personally that it's done good and bad. I think the bad part is the ridiculous amount of fear they put into a lot of people, because now people are mass buying things
Toilet paper.
that are, yeah, toilet paper, things of that nature that are essential, and so it's really making it hard on other people like the elderly who don't have a fighting chance in that, because people are literally running past them in grocery stores and getting it, and then they're hoarding it. I think it's really bad in that sense. When it comes down to giving everyone an understanding how bad it is, I say they did a pretty good job on that, because I think naturally media tries to put in a lot of fear and drama into a lot of things, which obviously was needed for this because it needed to be taken more seriously. So I think a lot more people are aware of that, but also like kind of fed into the bad part of the people panic buying, and so it's kind of hurting people at the same time. Um, kind of helping at the same time. I'd say overall it was more good than bad. Um, but I think a lot of the government made up for a lot of the bad that came out of it, because the government made the rules, the limits, and a lot of stores that are essential made limits of what you can buy. So I think they made up for a lot of that. So ultimately, it ended up being better. But at the time when it all started, it was bad.
Yeah. Cole, you want to say anything?
Uh, I feel
You're
like
you're still abusing your dogs.
no, oh my god. So I feel like the people that said it's just like the flu, it's gonna be all right, kind of like made it's like split-sided for like people that are taking it too seriously, and then there's the people that are not taking it serious enough. And the people aren't taking it serious enough. They're like, there's people going to beaches in Australia and Florida when they shouldn't be gathering at all, and they're saying they're living in the moment, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna be living for like however long, because no one knows what's in this virus is gonna do.
You know, it's funny. Like my dad's kind of serious. He's a serious person, but like he's not like he doesn't go like overprotective over this. But this is the one time I've ever seen him like have me disinfect doorknobs because my brother walked in coughing. And like it probably brings out like the protectiveness of people, as no one wants to get sick. It's gotten to the point where my dad's like, we're not doing anything, and that's really weird because we normally like go shopping or do like housework. Like we're not doing nothing, which is, for in other words, it's like, it's kind of like relying on the it's like, help me. It's like screaming the truth how like this quarantine thing is really serious. As me and John really don't have school for like 3 to 8 weeks. Cole, I don't know about you, rugby. You have travel bans. You have travel bans.
Yeah, no trouble.
And it's funny because also my brother, my older brother Herbie, he was he was on a cruise ship around the Caribbean with my aunt and my cousins, and they were stuck on the ship. They were not allowed to leave off the ship or go on dock, and they were there for like a week, and they were screened, and then they had to get flown back all the way to Florida and be quarantined. Not Florida, where I live in Massachusetts, for like a few weeks, and then I came home. John, you want to say anything? I know I've been like, and are you gonna join the world or no?
No, I can't.
Alright, that's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with the point about the media, like, kind of fear mongering almost. Like the panic buying is a major problem too, because people are only panic buying because other people are panic buying, and with the stores putting limits in place, that's good, and the media, more like Google and Instagram, they're having like the like trusted sources like those are pretty good, but media kind of fear monger almost. Right.
Anyone else want to add anything? I have like two more things, I think. Oh no, I have. Oh, how are you preparing for the virus? Cole. You wanna go
Wait,
first?
repeat that.
How are you preparing for the virus?
We stocked up on food and
John.
toilet paper.
John.
I photosynthesize. No, I'm just playing. I just we just got like canned and
Going out.
I just get
Going
like
outside is
ramen.
like God.
I photosynthesis. No, I just like stock up on ramen. I stay inside. You know, gotta wear my plastic gloves when I go throw out the trash. Don't want to get that thickness.
Rugby.
For the most part, I'm just washing my hands more frequently than I did before. Just kind of only get things like when I need to, just because like I don't want to be the person who hoards it all. I know it's a bit more risky, but I'd rather look out for other people and take care of my hygiene at the same time. I think it's a good medium there. But I'd rather save some for other people, so I try to only get things when I need them. But yeah, that's, for the most part, that's all we can really do. I mostly stay inside anyway, so that's not much different to my normal life. But yeah, I guess as far as anything outside of that, that's all I really have done to prepare.
Or anyone else? I have one last question. And we end. So what do you believe are some things? Hold on. What do you believe are some things you can do to entertain and keep yourself busy? Or like, what things have you tried doing it that you would never do if you didn't have the chance? I'm gonna start. So you know how I've been doing those montages for you?
Yeah.
I feel like the coronavirus does. I know it sounds weird, but like it's a positive for me and those type of people who really like they don't really want to develop skills. As my montages for just general, we're not that good and weren't publicized as much. But then like when the thing started, I was like, you know what, screw it. I have all this time. It's basically all this free time I can use to develop skills. And honestly, I feel like in the past like 2 weeks, my montages have grown exponentially. Like they've done really better than what I've ever done.
Yeah.
And like not even that, like dude, the Apollo Tier 3 montage has like 1,000 views on it, which like makes me happy. Because
Yeah.
it's good for your organization. The guys like it, and like I enjoyed making it because it was a lot of fun to make, even though I dragged all of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that because when I'm running Apollo and doing all the stuff, I'm not going out as often as I typically am. Obviously, here, I'm visiting. I want to go out and do stuff. I have more time to just sit around and do things for the org that I normally wouldn't have had time for, and it feels like accomplishing to get all that stuff done and know that I have time for it. But I guess it's just like us looking at the positive of it is that we're able to have time to do things we wouldn't have had before, which is good. The positive of it, at least.
All right, John.
Well, yeah, I mean, now we have more time to do whatever I want. I can draw when I feel like it and not be like overwhelmed by schoolwork. Yeah, I draw in my free time. I enjoy it. It's the tranquility of not being stressed out from, oh yeah, go to school, wake up at 6 a.m., leave at 4 p.m., take a bus ride that's an hour long, then get home, take a shower, eat, and now you have 2 minutes to do homework. Overwhelmed?
Could you draw me a
Of course
Broly
not.
combo?
Draw you a
Draw
what?
me a Broly combo. Draw me a Broly combo, please.
I'm
Alright,
sorry, I
Cole.
can't pick up your skill.
So like,
Cool.
I have a longer school day than other people, right? So like,
What's your school day? What school hours?
7 to 4 p.m.
What do you do?
Well,
We have
I
the
get home
exact
at
same-
4 p.m.
Oh no, I lied. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So like, usually my week is our practices. So like, now that I have all this time, I can play like instead of the same one game every single day when I get home from school, I can play other games and try out other things and other communities and stuff. So that's been like interesting.
All right. Any other last lingering thoughts you would like to add?
No, I'm
Rugby?
good.
No. All right, John.
I provide little
I'll
to
take
the
those as a no.
conversation.
We're still happy to have you here, Cole.
Hi Ben.
Hi, Cole. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you all. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, John. Thank you, Cole, for joining on the first podcast. First of many podcasts.
Wait a
Thank
minute.
you.
Many.
Wait a minute.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'll make sure to put your links in the description, except John.
I made this map.
Yeah.
John, who is this?
Oh my god. This person joined my stream yesterday.
Very cash money, then.
I'll invite them
Alright,
party,
thank you
ask them
all
if
for
they have
coming.
anything to say.
Thank you all.